The following is a presentation of Comworld Media. The future of talk.
Your attention, please.
Here is a special and urgent message for you.
I am the greatest. Please remain calm.
Keep tuned to this station for further information and instruction.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
The podcasts are on the air.
Yes, indeed. We are the world-famous Pod Goats. I'm Phil Valentine.
And I'm Campbell Valentine.
Why am I talking like a radio guy?
I don't
have no
know.
idea. Today we're talking
comedy.
Maybe that's why, because I'm trying to be funny.
Yeah, Ned, you're going to be pouring it on extra. I can already tell.
Oh, I know it. But you know how I know when I'm funny? Because I'm laughing at my own jokes.
Yeah, I think we've all
like
noticed.
That one. Like that one, see?
Well, I want to talk about as far back in comedy as why we laugh in the first place, man.
Wow, that's really getting technical, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm going to bring us up right to today, the history of comedy, and I want to talk about all of that when we come back right after this.
We are the Pod Goats, and we're talking comedy.
That we are.
So comedy goes way back, but we first, as you said, need to find out why we laugh.
Yes, and laughter is something we borrowed from the chimps, baby.
Oh,
from
really?
The chimpanzees.
So do we laugh to keep from crying, and why is it we laugh?
A lot of times we do, honestly, but laughter is just a social phenomenon, and it's contagious. That's why the Tickle Me Elmo doll's so popular.
God, I'd forgotten, but you had to have that thing too. Oh my gosh. That was one of those, you got to have it gifts for Christmas, and you wanted, I want tickle me elbow.
Tickle me elbow.
And I'm going, he doesn't even know what to call it. We're not going to get him this thing. I'm not going to stand in line at the mall to get him a tickle me elbow.
Well, you got to admit, that thing is infuriating.
Oh, it is, and you had to have it, and I believe you got it, too.
But little kids laugh at it because Elmo's laughing.
Oh, my gosh.
But that's what's kind of funny, man, is apes do a sort of laughter when they're playing a game or if they're being tickled.
Well, I guess that's where we get aping from, because what they do is they mimic what other apes are doing. And we tend to do that as humans.
Yeah, if we're in a room where people are laughing, you're more likely to laugh.
Oh, yeah. How about people, these people too, and I love these folks, because you look at them, you're talking to them, and they're on the verge of laughter. They're ready to laugh. I love those folks.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Because they make you feel so good about yourself.
Yeah, no kidding. And also, you feel that yourself on the verge of laughter in a lot of situations where you're not supposed to, like a moment of silence.
Oh, yes. Nervous laughter.
Yeah, and laughing just because it's inappropriate to laugh.
Like when somebody poots in church.
Come on, man.
That's not funny.
Keep it between the lines.
That's hilarious. Here. Now, I'm just telling you, think about that for a moment. You're sitting there, it's all quiet. Somebody you can't help but see, you're laughing now just thinking about it, aren't you?
I wish I wasn't. Desperately wish I was not.
Or especially at a funeral when that happens. Oh, that's the best, man. Oh, my gosh.
Laugh to keep from crying.
Dearly beloved. Sorry.
Oh, my. This is not the kind of theater of the mind I was hoping for.
It's even better when the preacher does it. So
Good Lordy. But another thing I think about with comedy?
Yeah.
Greek comedy.
Greek comedy, yes.
Here's their hilarious definition. Comedy is a genre of fiction that refers to any discourse or work generally intended to be humorous or amusing by inducing laughter.
They just sucked all the humor out of it, didn't they?
No kidding. This is the most boring definition I've ever heard.
Well, that's what happens when you try to break down why something is funny. It's not funny anymore.
Yeah, if you have to explain the joke, it's not a joke.
That's what they say, yeah.
But Greek comedy came about around the 6th century BC.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, and the way comedy first manifested itself is through something we still do today, mimicking other people.
We were talking about aping somebody, yes.
Yes, they would dress up as public figures and do an impression of them that was really exaggerated.
Especially dressing up as a woman. The British love to do that. Have you noticed that?
No kidding. Suspicious from the British? I dare say.
It is, absolutely. I mean, you got Benny Hill. Do you remember Benny Hill?
Who's Benny Hill?
You don't know who Benny Hill? Oh, my gosh. Well, it's an acquired taste. It's really quintessential British humor. But Benny Hill was always dressing up as a woman. But it's all that slapstick stuff, and he was a big deal back in the day. Look him up.
I don't think I want to. But one of the earliest plays we have of Greek comedy, and I can tell that you're not finding this as hilarious as I am.
No, let's get to the comedy.
But it's Aristophanes.
Aristophanes.
He was a playwright, and the earliest plays we have are a group of plays about a man who goes to single-handedly make peace with the Spartans. That's the premise. It's kind of a Mr. Bean type of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Bean goes to Sparta.
Yeah. Exactly. But what I more think about with comedy is like stand-up comedy.
Yes. That terrifies me.
I know. Doesn't that seem nerve-wracking to get
It
up
does.
there?
And I got a lot of good friends who are stand-up comedians, but I don't know how they do it. But you got to have a lot of confidence. And I've talked to them, and almost to a person, they say, I really, I say, aren't you nervous about, no, I don't care. And I guess that's how you get past that. If you don't care whether people laugh, then, of course, you don't want to devolve into Kramer. You remember?
Good Lord. Talk about unfunny.
Oh, yeah.
That moment.
He got unfunny, and so he just starts throwing out the N-word, thinking, oh, that'll get him. Oh, yeah, that'll be hilarious.
Cosmo Kramer.
Jerry!
Oh, my.
Oh, that was ugly.
But stand-up comedy, that originated in the UK in music halls, 18th century.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But it's really more attributed to Americans because of vaudeville.
Yes.
Now, there's a turning point where they say stand-up comedy was born, and it was with one joke by Groucho Marx.
By Groucho, I thought it was going to be, take my wife, please.
What is that?
Henny Youngman, take my wife, please.
Who are these people?
Oh my gosh, you've got to educate yourself, man.
Did you listen to them on a monophone or whatever that thing was? I dare say this is some good comedy.
They always joke that was the first joke. Take my wife, please. I mean, this is Groucho Marx. Obviously, it's not the first joke, but this is the first.
No,
what?
This is the turning point for comedy.
Okay, turning point for comedy is Groucho Marx.
When he said the line, "Behind every successful man is a woman, ... and behind her is his wife."
Oh.
And something clicked in people's head where they said, wait, that is comedy.
That's genius right there, yeah.
Yeah, that's stand-up. And then it takes off through the radio era. Post-World War II, you get Abbott and Costello, Bob Hope.
Yeah, so you have heard of those people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. But not Henny Youngman.
No, I don't listen to 18th century comedy.
No, Henny Youngman was right in there with the rest of them.
Oh, please.
Come on, man. Do your research for crying out loud.
Lord. But then, of course, there become millions of different types of comedy. You got gag humor, slapstick, black humor, observational humor. Black is in dark humor, by the way.
Right. Not a racist thing.
Observational humor, big with Jerry Seinfeld.
Yes.
What's the deal with airline food?
Yeah. Why do homeless people have such fabulous hair?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff.
But I do want to ask you this.
Yes, what's that?
Who is your favorite comedian? And if you say Kevin James, I'm going to leap out of the studio.
No, I was just thinking about, I don't know whether he's my favorite, but I think he's one of the more innovative ones, and that was during the 1980s when Stephen Wright came along.
Oh, yeah, I know Stephen Wright.
But he just throws those one-lines out like, I don't think it's fair that one company gets to make Monopoly.
Oh, that is genius.
But he has, that was his whole shtick. So I don't know that he's my favorite. Now, Richard Pryor, quite blue, but he was absolutely hilarious.
Well, I want to ask you this as well.
Yeah.
I've got a list right in front of me of the top 5 comedians of all time. Now, this is subjective. This is from one source.
Right.
But I want to see if you can guess who all is on there.
Ah, well, we'll do that when we come back right after this.
Yes, we are the Pod Goats, and we're talking comedy.
Yes, we're talking comedy. So we're talking about the funniest people of all time.
Yeah, and this is a top 5 list of stand-up comedians. I might add that caveat for you.
Okay, stand-up comedians, lay it on me.
Well, I'm trying to get you to guess.
Oh,
Did you forget in that 15-second break?
Just that little break. I'm sorry, what? Well, that's the beautiful thing about me is you can tell me the same joke about 15 minutes later. I'll still laugh at it.
I've noticed this.
So we're talking about these are the top 5 stand-up comedians of all time. Richard Pryor's got to be on the list.
Oh, he is.
Okay.
That's one.
Richard Pryor. Eddie Murphy, is he on the list?
He's on the list. You got 2.
Okay. Is Stephen Wright one of them?
No.
No, he's not one of them. That's all I can come. I mean, I know there are a lot of. Well, Ron White.
No, but I love Ron White.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of a lot of comedians, but we'll be here all day. Just tell me the other 3.
George Carlin.
Oh, yes, George Carlin.
Dave Chappelle.
Ah, I love Dave Chappelle.
And Robin Williams.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about those. So, yeah, that does make sense. That's a pretty darn good list there, though.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, I got to go best stand-up comic of all time, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, and I should have thought of him to start with. He is absolutely hysterical.
And the Chappelle Show was hysterical.
Oh, my gosh.
He's the black KKK leader who never takes off his hood.
Who's blind, yeah.
Who's blind and doesn't know. And then he divorces his wife at the end of the sketch.
I ain't going to be married no N-word lover.
Because she's married to a black man.
Oh, that's comedy right there, folks.
That is golden.
Now, I'll tell you, Susan and I, we were doing a benefit, and it's been many years ago, and this guy came up. He was supposed to headline this thing. We did a comedy night, and we were raising money for the Poison Control Center. I had to go back and look at what year this was. It was a long time ago. It was, I'm thinking, maybe late 80s. And there was this guy standing there, and he had this long duster on. He had this mustache, good-looking guy, and he was, and he was drinking a beer. And we looked at him, as before he's coming on, and I remember saying something that hurt to me. This guy looks like he is so full of himself. I mean, this guy looks like the biggest jerk you've ever seen. And he gets up there, and he starts telling these jokes, and then he'd almost finish telling a line, and he'd almost take a sip of his beer, and then, does anybody know who I'm talking about here? He doesn't do it with a beer anymore. He does it with a little cocktail with a mixed drink.
I know who you're talking about.
It's Ron White.
Yeah.
Now, the guy, I mean, we had never laughed so hard. Nobody knew who the dude was. This is before he took off and exploded. And I thought, that is the funniest guy I've ever seen in my life. When he did the thing about, I hate traveling with people who got something to live for. So we lose an engine on the way, and this guy next to me says, how far do you think that engine will take us? I said, all the way to the crash site. All of that routine was there. That was years before you saw him on stage and he got big. Now he's just gotten too nasty.
But he still is hilarious. And you remember that blue-collar comedy was huge for a while.
Yeah, this was long before the blue-collar comedy.
You might be a redneck.
Right, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he loved talking about his wife. My wife. But those guys were all hilarious.
Yes, they absolutely were. And none of those guys is on this list.
No, which is a shame.
That is a shame.
But those are some heavy hitters, those 5.
Real heavy hitters.
Now, another caveat I got to add about comedy is obviously it's up to individual taste.
Yes.
Now, there's a famous Mel Brooks quote about comedy and tragedy.
You know who Mel Brooks is?
Oh, yeah, man. About comedy and tragedy, and he says, tragedy is when I cut my finger, and comedy is when you fall into an open sewer and die.
Wow.
Jeez Louise.
That's pretty funny, though. Yeah.
But why do we love laughing at pain?
Well, I don't know, but I was putting together the video for your mother. She'd been wanting this for a long time, so I strung together all of our Christmases up to a certain day. We couldn't do all of them because it'd take 20 hours. So I did like the first 8 Christmases or whatever. And you guys, I couldn't resist it. I had to put it with you guys as, little babies. And then you look and lean over and then you just fall in laughing. And I had to put that in there because people laugh at that.
Honestly. And
we're laughing at a little, 6-month, 8-month-old baby just falling over on the carpet. That's hilarious.
Well, I think it goes back to something we were talking about earlier, which is we have an inclination to laugh when we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
The moment of silence and at a funeral or in church. And a lot of research says that it's kind of the same principle when it comes to watching someone get hurt. It's twofold. You're not supposed to laugh, and you're glad it's not you.
I think the last part is the main thing.
No kidding.
Oh, boy, that really hurt, didn't it?
Yeah.
That really hurt.
Yeah. But speaking of Mel Brooks,
yeah,
how about some of the funniest movies?
Blazing Saddles. If they cut out that ending where they go through all the movie sets
you hate
and stuff,
that part.
I don't hate it. It's just, it's laborious. And some of that is funny. I mean, when you got Dom DeLuise with the dancers and all.
Yeah.
I mean, so they could have done those in little small vignettes, and they would have been funny on their own. It just sort of dragged the movie on, I thought.
But it is hilarious. And I'll tell you a little factoid about Blazing Saddles.
Little known fact there about Blazing Saddles.
Mel Brooks actually offered John Wayne a part in Blazing Saddles.
Oh, really?
Now, John Wayne sat down, he read the script, and he sent Mel Brooks back a letter. And here's what he said. I've read the script, and there is no chance I'm going to appear in this movie, but I'll be the first one in line to see it.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, he didn't want to ruin his reputation.
No, but he thought it was hilarious.
It is absolutely hilarious. Well, my understanding is, I don't know how much truth there is to this, so I'm just going to throw it out there. They got Richard Pryor as one of the writers, my understanding is, so they could get away with saying the N-word so much.
Have we been talking about the N-word too much on the show?
No, it's one of those things. But I mean,
How's it come up 3 times?
Cleavon Little saying that stuff. I mean, and that whole thing is just hilarious because of the way see, this is what's funny about the N-word.
Oh my! Whatever rabbit hole you're going down, I don't want any part of it.
I'm going to explain, and people will understand this. What is funny about it is when you've got brainless hicks that are using it and you're making fun of them. You're not making fun of the black person. The black person's in on the joke like Cleavon Little was. That's what made that so funny is you've got these toothless hillbillies that are making fun of him, and we're actually all laughing at them. That's what made it funny.
I completely agree, and I think a lot of people don't look at it with enough nuance. They just think N-word bad.
Well, that's what they do, and now you certainly could not run that movie on network TV now.
Oh, heck no. Somebody's going to cut up this. I can already see the sound bites. Someone's going to say a sound bite of me. I think everybody's missing the point. The N-word's not bad.
N-word's hilarious. Come on, we need to say it more often. That's what they're
great.
No, you get the point. But yeah, I think you said it right. The nuance and the context of it when it depends on what you're making fun of. And I'll say this too. On this top 5 list, you notice you got 3 black comedians, and all 3 use the N-word, and they used it because coming from them, it's funny. Now, if Robin Williams, one of the white guys on that list, had been using the N-word, it would not have been funny. It's just one of those things.
No, and we saw it happen with
Kramer.
With Cosmo Kramer. But funny movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with my personal favorite as Office Space.
Office Space.
Do you remember that movie?
I vaguely.
Absolutely hilarious. But I can
is
tell.
Is this guy, what's his face in it, that was ends up doing the Mission Impossible movies? What's the guy's name?
Tom Cruise?
No. No, the funny guy.
Simon Pegg?
Simon Pegg, yeah. Is he in there?
No, that's Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Great movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you this, most of the highest grossing comedy movies are children's movies.
Right.
Like Toy Story and Frozen and stuff.
Shrek.
Why are you saying it with such bitter, vile hatred?
I don't think you can say Shrek without saying it that way. Shrek.
What are you looking at, Shrek?
You're such a Shrek.
But have you ever heard of the movie Trojan War starring Jennifer Love Hewitt?
I don't believe I have, no.
Well, you shouldn't
Whatever happened to her, by the way?
Fell off the map.
Yeah, she fell off the map, didn't she? Yeah.
Well, she
needs to say the N-word. She'll be back, in the news.
Everybody pay attention to you now. But it was a comedy movie with a budget of $15 million. Now, let me tell you how much it raked in at the box office.
How much?
$309.
$309. I thought you were going to say $309 million. I'm going, I've not heard of this movie. $309?
Yes.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
And it cost $15 million to make?
Yes.
So how much did Animal House cost? Because that's one of my favorites, and it cost not a whole lot.
I'm looking at it right here. $3 million.
Yeah, that's relatively low budget for a movie.
Oh, no kidding.
And I'm wondering how much that raked in.
No telling.
Yeah, more than $319, whatever it was with Jennifer Love. No wonder we haven't heard from her since then.
No kidding.
Yeah, she's the $319 woman or whatever. Was it $319?
$309.
$309. Well, I gave her $10. I'm sorry. Yeah, I want my $10 back, Jennifer.
Well, I want to ask you about television.
Television.
Comedians on television. A big place for them to be.
Oh, yes.
Late night shows.
Late night shows. Hard to top Johnny Carson.
It is hard to top Johnny Carson, and other comedians certainly acknowledge Johnny Carson, because did you know that during his last broadcast, his last time on The Tonight Show, if you went and tried to tune into Comedy Central, it was simply a page that read, "We're watching Johnny Carson's last show, and so should you."
Wow,
Isn't
that's
that kinda
pretty big.
sweet?
Yeah, that is very sweet of him.
But Jimmy Fallon, of course, the man who...
Yes, eventually inherited The Tonight Show.
Did you know he was voted in high school most likely to take over for David Letterman? So
Really?
pretty close.
Yeah, missed it by that much. David Letterman, I think, is taking over for Santa Claus. Have you seen this guy lately?
Come on,
with the
man.
long beard and everything.
Oh,
What's up
I've
with
seen
him?
him. I've seen him.
Like he's lost his mind or something. What's up with Conan?
What do you mean, what's up with Conan?
He's just, he's like...
He's just not funny?
Well, he almost.
I think he's kind of funny.
It's like a guy said to Hurricane Mark, my brother, about Steve Martin. He said, he's damn near hilarious.
That's kind of it, though.
Yeah, you're almost going, that was almost hilarious, but it just wasn't.
Yeah, there's something about Conan that makes me think he's trying just a little too hard
Yeah, I guess
to make
so.
me laugh. And I refuse to give it to him.
Yeah, I do too. I seem to like the guy.
Yeah, very likable.
Very likable guy, but just not funny.
Enough.
Not funny enough. He's okay, but he's just not funny enough.
Yeah.
He's damn near hilarious.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of television,
Yeah.
I got to ask you about this. Did you ever hear about this British sitcom in the 1990s about Adolf Hitler?
No.
Hilarious.
Hilarious these people are.
It was called Heil Honey, I'm Home. I'm not kidding.
Hell, honey, I'm home.
And it's centered around Hitler's family life.
Oh, great.
Lasted one episode, yanked off
And
the
they're
air.
gone, huh?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Too soon?
Very much so. But then animated comedy, you got to give a nod to The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah. That thing's been around forever.
Yeah, forever. So long that children who are the same age as Bart when it premiered are now the same age as Homer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when that thing premiered, too.
What were y'all thinking? Were y'all just like, what the hey, what is this?
No, it was actually, it started as sort of a part of the Tracy Ullman show. So you had seen that. It would be a bit on the Tracy Ullman show. They had The Simpsons were on there, and then they had it was sort of a spinoff of the Tracy Ullman show, really. So, and yeah, well, I remember when it first started, people were talking, oh, this is just despicable. They're trying to suck children into a cartoon, and then they're using adult themes, and we don't think that's funny.
Well, The Simpsons is pretty flippin' hilarious.
It is. And I'll tell you, when Family Guy came along doing the same thing, oh, my gosh. I was talking about this on the radio, that you guys watch Family Guy, and this lady called up and said, I'm so worried about your children. She was crying. She was so worried. And she probably should have been. But I said, look, here's the deal. We tell them they can't watch it, and then that's when they're going to want to watch every episode. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah, but y'all were buying us DVD copies of it. Come on.
In other words, they'll come around and start bothering us, too, and we're too busy watching TV. So, okay, go watch whatever you want to, Let me ask you this.
Hit me with it.
What do you think is the funniest line in a movie ever?
Oh, you put me on the spot here, man.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, this is from Best Life online. I'm not even sure what that is. But they've got like the 300 funniest lines in movies. You know what their number one is?
I haven't the slightest clue.
And this is one of those things. I like these guys, and I think they're damn near hilarious. This is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and the line is, "It's just a flesh wound."
Oh my, that's a great one.
But that's their funniest line ever.
That's a great one, though.
So, well, it is. It's okay. It's okay. Other lines from like Airplane, I'm serious and don't call me Shirley.
That's another good one.
Another one is Dr. Evil in Austin Powers. We get the warhead and we hold the world ransom for $1 million.
Sir, $1 million is not a lot of money.
$100 million. Yeah, that was pretty funny. But my favorite line, I don't think ever made this list. And I believe it's from Casablanca. You got Humphrey Bogart's character, and then you got Peter Lorre. He's in all these movies. He always plays that kind of slimy, sneaky
seedy guy.
Rick, you hate me, don't you? Yeah, if I ever gave you half a thought, I probably would.
That is gold.
Oh, that's a burn. That's the best burn in cinematic history right there.
You've been listening to The Podgoats with Phil and Campbell Valentine. Stream episodes and find out more about the podcast at podgoats.com. Got a question for the goats? Click the Ask Us Anything tab on the website or send a tweet to @podgoats, and your post might be read on the air. Podgoats is produced by ComWorld Media. All rights reserved.
This has been a presentation of ComWorld Media, the future of talk.